Over in the pages of DC Comics, the dawn of DC status quo is now well underway. And this has been a really fascinating publishing initiative because it's featured really prominent characters get brand new ongoing series with refreshed creative teams. Today, we're going to go ahead and see what DC has in store for the brand new Wonder Woman series featuring writing from Tom King and artwork from Daniel Sampere. We got a first look over at what the duo had in mind for their Wonder Woman run over in the 800th issue of the series. I was a little bit disheartened to see how some of the dialogue for the daughter of Wonder Woman was written, and in some of my own independent research for this current Wonder Woman run, it seemed like there's less of an emphasis on some of the greater Amazon supporting cast that DC has fleshed out over the past couple years. My name is Arako Braddock, and today, let's go ahead and dive into the pages of Wonder Woman issue 1 to see if this series can live up to some of my lofty expectations. Before we get deeper into the video, I want to encourage you to go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe to the channel to support our content. The Amazon Warrior is now a wanted outlaw. A new era for the Amazon Warrior begins from the superstar team of Tom King and Daniel Sampere. After a mysterious Amazon is accused of mass murder, Congress passes the Amazon Safety Act, barring all Amazons from U.S. soil to carry out their plans. The government starts a task force, the Amazon Extradition Entity, AXE for short, to remove those who don't comply by any means necessary. Now, in search for her truth behind the killing, Wonder Woman finds herself an outlaw in the world she once swore to protect. Writer Tom King and superstar artist in the making Daniel Sampere join forces for this action-packed relaunch and the beginning of what will undoubtedly become a groundbreaking run on the character. Just wanted to chime in here real quick and say that Daniel Sampere is an excellent artist, having illustrated the landmark Dark Crisis on Infinite Earth series. Here's a look over at the cover debut for Wonder Woman issue 1. And this debut issue is written over from Tom King, featuring art by Daniel Sampere, colors from Tomeu Morey, letters from Clayton Cowles, and of course this cover is illustrated by Sampere, featuring colors over from Morey as well. Really appreciate how this issue features some negative space over on the cover and teases the fact that this is a really epic new series over for the Wonder Woman property. I want to extend a big thank you over to Popverse for posting some preview pages for this brand new Wonder Woman comic book series a little bit early. And I want to spend just a few moments focusing in on some of the artwork in the issue over from Daniel Sampere. So this is a sequence really late in the Wonder Woman comic book that actually teases the reveal of Diana herself. As you can see here, I think some of the line work from Daniel Sampere really does a great job capturing all the intricate threats over from Tom King's script throughout this page. And the way that Daniel Sampere, I think, has sort of captured the expression from Wonder Woman in the environment that she currently is in shows readers that there's a sense of danger permeating throughout this particular scene here. Over on the next page, we get to see Wonder Woman throw a well-deserved punch at one of the members of the Axe task force that we read over in the solicit for the issue. The way that Sampere depicts motion on this page is absolutely thrilling to me, as Wonder Woman sort of extends her arm backwards, throws a punch, and then pulls her tiara forward just a little bit. This panel bleed coming in over in the second panel, and the lettering over in the background really brings out the motion in the issue, and I think make Tom King's script look even better than it actually is in some circumstances. Also, the way that this issue captures the tension over between Sergeant Steel and Wonder Woman also just captures the animosity between these two characters throughout the art alone over in this issue. So we've already explored some of the really amazing layouts and precise artwork over from Daniel Sampere. I want to spend some time focusing in on Tom King's script over for this installment here. So I was really nervous to see what King would bring over to the Wonder Woman property. And in this first scene in the issue, when we're introduced to an Amazon character at a bar, I really thought the level of violence that King wrote in the comic book right off the bat here was way too harsh across this issue. Unfortunately, that sense of violence doesn't let up here. However, it's not all doom and gloom in terms of this script. I really do think that the political tension across the comic book page and the inclusion of Wonder Woman adds some really fantastic texture over to this storyline. But there were so many sequences of exposition and individual moments of characters having violent outbursts that it was really hard for this debut chapter of Wonder Woman to keep my interest throughout the full series. Also, the way that Tom King introduces these news broadcasts filled with endless pieces of dialogue was so annoying to me as a reader, because I really do think that comic book writing has moved forward and there's a better way to deliver exposition than just dumping newscasters over on the screen. To make matters even worse, Tom King returns to kind of random POV characters across this issue to examine some of the political tension that came from this Amazon throwing such a brutal attack against several individuals over at a bar. Thankfully, though, I do think there's something about the characterization over from Sergeant Steele across this comic book issue that does make Tom King's script work in some of these elements here too. I was also really struck by the fact that the beginning of the issue referenced the character of the Sovereign, who appears a little bit later over in the issue as well. There's something here about the plotting that makes this a little bit more than a throwaway issue of Wonder Woman. But due to all the violent outbursts across the series, I was unable to get as immersed with the narrative in this series as I wanted to here. And I think Tom King's script does move along really nicely here as we get a direct confrontation between Wonder Woman and Sergeant Steele in the issue amidst all of the massive political tension that's constructed throughout this individual title. But I do think that Tom King does make the mistake of introducing Wonder Woman a little bit too late in the issue. I do want to give King props for utilizing the character of Queen Nubia over in this issue. One thing that I'm really going to be looking for in future Tom King script is the utilization of all these ancillary Amazons like Yara Flor, because I really think that all these individual characters help make the Wonder Woman property more distinctive and unique. But I also want to give Tom King credit for writing some really strong sequences between Steve and Diana across this comic book issue. However, these sequences were much too wordy, but with all the really interesting panels kind of cut up and contextualized throughout the page over from Daniel Sampere, I was still able to capture some of the emotion that Tom King was trying to introduce over in the narrative. Also, again, this character of the Sovereign is the kind of secret weapon behind this Wonder Woman debut chapter, because the way that that folds back into the narrative in the final pages and the way it was introduced in the opening pages makes me realize that this is, once again, a little bit more than your just throwaway issue of Wonder Woman that's a little bit too violent. But at the end of the day, I still think it's a little bit more violent than what this character should be in terms of some of the comic book scenarios on the page. And also, I really do think that these point of view sequences need to go in this comic book series. There's so much exposition. This issue of Wonder Woman is so overwritten that I would hate to see Tom King make the same mistake again and again and again. I think in some of the opening pages of the issue, there is also way too much text here. If Tom King had some big and sort of heady idea that was worth all of these pages, I would certainly be interested in it. But I think there is way too much time spent introducing some of the political backdrop of the series that sort of spawned over the inciting incident in this comic book title. So at the end of the day here, I find myself way more mixed on this Wonder Woman debut than I'd like. However, I still do think that there's some really interesting things about this series that are probably worthy of your attention. Particularly the artwork over from Daniel Sampere in this issue, I don't think ever really skips a beat. There is just so much precision in his line over in this comic book page. Some of the colors in this work, I think, also really captured some of the best sides of Daniel Sampere's art. And I do think that the political tension, the inciting incident over in this chapter is really engrossing here. What's weighing me down on this series is just the minimal use of Wonder Woman, the other Amazonians, and all of the needless violence that ensues throughout this comic book series. Over in the past, I've read comic books from Tom King that I've absolutely loved, but I think that King really needs to utilize some lessons in restraint, particularly in some of those self-indulgent moments, to really bring out Diana's emotions and what Wonder Woman is capable of as a comic book series. I want to know from you, did you enjoy this Wonder Woman debut more than I did? What were some of your thoughts over on the issue, and particularly over with Daniel Sampere's art? Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you so much for coming to check out my mixed review over on Wonder Woman issue 1. And we'll be back to cover this series and to see where Wonder Woman and the other Amazonians are headed next. Thanks so much, and I'll see you soon. Bye.